The way I set up my gradebook is first we have the standards. And the standards run across the top. And they are how all of the assignments are organized. And then I have assignments within each standard. Some assignments, to be perfectly honest, hit more than one standard. And then they're listed twice. They're listed more than once. They're listed in each standard. Because in the end, what I'm looking for is a student's progress over time within that standard. So for example, over here we have making meaning. This was students write journal entries in response to literature. And the standard is making meaning. It's a critical thinking standard. They did an initial journal entry. It's listed. Then they submitted next 3 journal entries. The score of that is listed. They submitted their journal entry in the end. Score of that is listed. They were given feedback along the way on each one of these journal entries so they could get better at the skill of writing these and of showing their thinking. In the end, what you see here is a final standard grade. Ultimately, the grade for the course, you have to be meeting every single standard. So that's why I have these spaces for final standard grade, final standard grade, final standard grade. I need to see 3s or higher for every single final standard grade in order to be meeting the standard for the course, in order to pass the class. Because otherwise I'm saying, oh, it doesn't matter that you don't know how to critically think and make meaning of literature, but you wrote a paper, so I'll average it in. But then that means there's a whole skill you haven't mastered. Or reads, elements of literature. You don't understand elements of literature, but I'll average it in, and because you have quality writing and writing process and you did your interviews, here's an interview standard, performance, it's okay in the end. No, what we're saying is you have to meet every single standard because every skill matters. So you have to master each skill in order to get credit. So there are 3 grades in the standard. For this student, they got a 1, didn't do that assignment, a 2.75, they're showing progress towards the standard, in the end a 3.25 on their final journal. This particular student right now has a 2.75 because they didn't do the first assignment at all. And that's complicated, but if you have a 1, you need to attempt that assignment. I don't have enough body of evidence leading me to final standard grade. This student here has a 3 on the first attempt, a 3.25 on the second assignment, 3.5 on the third assignment. What's the final standard grade? I don't average it together. I look at you're trending up, you hit a 3.5, you're a 3.5 overall. Habits of work are reported out separately. It's an entirely separate overall grade. It is not integrated in when we determine their standards grade. Because the standard is about skill and content. Do you own the skills and the content? It doesn't matter how hard you work or what kind of learner you are. It matters whether you've mastered the skill. So we report out habits of work separately. So you see on this page, there's a category for homework, a category for participation in class, a category for meeting deadlines. Those are the big 3 habits of work standards that we work on. So as kids do their homework, it's listed here if they got it done. There is an assessment for participation in class, goes in here, etc. And then you get a habits of work grade. And ultimately how the habits of work grade matters to you is that if you have a habits of work of a 3 or higher, then you can't fail. You don't get a failing grade, you get an incomplete. Because it means you're doing your part, you're putting the work in, you need more time. So we're going to give you more time. If they're not meeting the habits of work grade, and they're not meeting their standards grade, then they get a 2 on the report card, which is a not passing grade. We put in a whole lot of extra supports to try to scoop kids up even when their habits of work are struggling. They have the opportunity to come to Block 7. They have the opportunity to come to something we call Mud Season School. We have, which is a sort of support intensive time. We have a support intensive. We have our own Casco Bay High School Summer School. Those are opportunities to say, okay, you did not meet the standard on time, you didn't have quality habits of work, so we're going to give you another chance, but it's later and it's reflected in your report card ultimately.